Greetings, everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. Yesterday, Sven did an interview on a podcast called Friends Per Second on the Skill Up YouTube channel. The interview was hosted by Lucy James, who is a senior producer at GameSpot and a creative producer at Giant Bomb, along with Jake Baldino, who reviews video games for GamerX and his personal YouTube channel that is the same as his name. I will leave a link to his YouTube channel and this podcast episode in the description below. During the interview, Sven directly addressed the issues causing Baldur's Gate 3 to be delayed for Xbox. I know many of you have been frustrated by this situation. Let me know down in the comments how you feel about his response. To briefly recap, the game is set to launch for PC on August 3rd and for the PS5 on September 6th. At this time, there is no specific release date for the Xbox. I made an entire video reviewing the specific development issues that are causing this delay, and I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Sven briefly touches upon the problems as well.
We have split screen and multiplayer. The combination of it is what makes it complicated. Because we don't run on a live service, we run the servers on your machine itself. So that means that you could have 4 consoles that have to work together and simulate where the 4 players are in different locations of the city, for instance, which is very complicated. Somebody can jump in and split screen. All that needs to be simulated. It takes a lot of memory. So it requires a lot of optimization to get it to work.
My video walks through an IGN article where it provides more details, but you get the general gist of the situation. If Larian Studios could just release Baldur's Gate 3 on Xbox Series X, then the game would be out on September 6th. Instead, they have to figure out how to sync split screen features on both the Series X and the Series S, even though the Series S has significantly worse specs. Sven said there is still hope that an Xbox version will be released this year, but it definitely seems like that's up in the air. All developers who release games on the Xbox have to deal with this issue, so it's not unique to Larian. That raises the obvious question of whether or not the Series S is holding back developers from optimizing games to their maximum capacity. Lucy asked if Sven felt like we wouldn't get truly next-gen games until Microsoft leaves the Series S behind.
But they're not going to leave Series S behind.
But they're not going to.
They're not going to do that. So that basically means that you know what you're going to be able to do on the Xbox Series. I mean, it defines the machine, which is fine. I think it's an okay proposition to say, hey, we have 2 devices. We want compatibility across the devices. I mean, so it's a platform thing. What you have to do then as a developer or publisher is decide, will I be on the platform, yes or no? Because that's, I mean, it's like us deciding to come to a Switch or not, right? Do we want to be on the Switch? Okay, we got to make it work on the Switch and make it work well. Otherwise, we can't be on the Switch.
He goes on to say that the majority of Xbox owners have a Series S, so it doesn't make any sense not to prioritize them. I got pushback in the comments of my previous video about this subject, but it's absolutely correct. Because the Series X is more expensive, I think a lot of players assumed Microsoft would cater towards them, but that's just not true at all. The Series S has a significantly larger player base, and Microsoft knows how their bread gets buttered. You can make the case that they should have just stuck with the Series X, but the question becomes how many people that currently own a Series S would have been willing to fork over the extra cash and buy a Series X? That's a question we'll never know the answer to. Sven moves into talking about how Larian Studios had a staggered release for Divinity Original Sin 2. First it came out on PC, then a year later on PS4, and then a year after that it came out on the Switch. They tried to ship Baldur's Gate 3 at the same time for all platforms and found it very difficult.
We forced ourselves into the situation that we're going to do a sim ship. Oh, we got to do a sim ship. We've never done a sim ship. Let's do a sim ship, right? And the sim ship almost became a sink ship in the sense that because it was killing us. So the moment we let it loose, we got more breathing room, so we can actually focus on the platforms as we should. And maybe that's just the model for us, right? Other developers do it differently. But now we can focus on PC, we can focus on PS5, we can focus on other platforms after that, and that's
Seems like Larian is most effective when they can focus on one platform at a time. That works perfectly fine for me, but of course, I play mainly on PC, which is their primary platform, so that's an easy stance for me to take. I think we should expect more developers to have this staggered release schedule, especially since the Xbox issues are not going away anytime soon. In Sven's opinion, this doesn't mean that there's an issue with the Xbox platform.
And so that's just it. But that doesn't say anything about the platform. I think the platform is perfectly fine. It's just like if you want to imagine that somebody comes out with like the equivalent of a PS7 now, right? And then you will have to make a choice. Will I release it on PS7? It means I can't release it on the others. So that's essentially what's going on. It's like and as a PC developer, which is what we were used to that. You have always had different platforms, min specs that scale. Like you have to say, these are your min specs. You're going to work on that. So anyway, I'm deviating. But to answer your question, we're going to get there. It's just going to take some time. Do I think that it holds it back? It just defines certain parameters within which you have to develop, and there's ways of doing that. It just takes development effort, and that effort, despite us having grown, we don't have infinite resources. So that means that we can't do everything at the same time.
All right, let me be honest here. In my opinion, he gave the answer that he had to give. He cannot look into that camera and say that Microsoft is holding back the rest of the industry and doing a disservice to developers by forcing them to make games which keep the inferior Series S in mind. That would obviously damage Larian Studios' relationship with a valued partner. But in reality, the situation doesn't make any sense, and it seems like one headed for disaster. Should Microsoft focus on and prioritize people with the Series S? Absolutely. It's their largest customer base. How should they prioritize these people? By getting as many games as possible on Game Pass that can be played with a Series S, and by purchasing or creating developers who will make games specifically for the Xbox that are compatible with the Series S. Those two moves make all the sense in the world to me. Trying to force developers who do not have a direct relationship with Microsoft to ensure a feature only a small section of gamers will use is compatible with the Series S hurts everybody. Hurts the developers who have to put in all the extra time, money, and effort. It hurts Microsoft because it's an absolutely terrible look that the PS5 will get such a massive game before Xbox players. It hurts Series X purchasers who were not told their releases will be held back to accommodate Series S owners. It hurts Series S owners, most of whom, I would argue, have zero interest in split-screen capabilities across platforms. Make no mistake, this situation is killing Microsoft's gaming division. During the FTC lawsuit to block their attempt at acquiring Activision, Microsoft officially admitted that it's lost the console wars. In fact, Sony has crushed them so thoroughly, Microsoft believes it will take years to make up for the lost ground. Part of that is because Sony has done a much better job getting games developed specifically for the PlayStation. But another big part of it is that PlayStation has become the official gamer console. People who own a PlayStation know that Sony is going to do everything in their power to provide games that push the console to its maximum potential. Nobody feels that way about Xbox, and they haven't for years. The Baldur's Gate 3 situation only deepens the divide. For some reason, the folks in charge at Microsoft have decided it would be better for the game to be delayed for months than for it to be released missing one feature that the PS5 has, which the vast majority of players across both consoles barely use. That doesn't make any sense, and in a teensy-weensy small way, it is disappointing that Swen didn't just say that. But again, he's doing what's best for his studio. That's all I have to say regarding this situation, but I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hope all of you enjoyed this video. Take care.